Hi, we are Lou and John from Bottled Up. If you are a new member, and welcome. We've had quite a lot of members recently, haven't we, in this,
real flurry
COVID crisis. These are done from our home. We are in the UK. They're done unscripted because we just wanted to be ourselves. Part of the website is that we are involved with this. We didn't just kind of do a program, and we're therapists, so it's a proper program, and walk away. We are part of what's going on here. We are people. We recognise you're a person with all of the trauma that you're going through, and that's important to us. So we turn up on a regular basis.
And here we are.
And here we are, yeah. Would it be good to say that we post... We used to do once a week. We're probably doing 1 or 2 a week now, aren't we?
Yeah, I think, well, during lockdown, I think it's been slightly more important. So we've been sort of putting out more and more videos. And just talking about various subjects. So if you really want us to talk about a subject, then
let us know. And it is accelerated, and John will send an email to post. The last thing in the world we want to do is to plague you in any way. We are doing this genuinely because we want to give you more support at this time, and we're hearing all around us. I'm a counsellor, hearing from my clients. They are looking for support in many different shapes and ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we actually feel it's our duty to make sure that we are even more present than usual. So we hope we're not boring you. You don't have to do any of this. This is here if you want to listen to them. So handling emotions.
Oh dear. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, see you in the next video.
Yes, I was going to say.
Right. Handling emotions, always a big one.
It is.
Certainly a big one. And particularly at this time. We did another, well, we've done 2 other videos about crisis at the moment. And the previous one was really, the first one was about safety, the next one was about practical things you can do, and this is about the fallout, which is the emotions. How do you handle them? Right at this moment in time, emotions they're bound to be high. They're high in sort of all households, I think, throughout the world at the moment, because we're stuck with the ones that we love, and the ones that we love and all the nice little sort of habits and traits that they have are lovely and they attract you to them until you're stuck with them all the time, and then you start to find that patience is not something that you have a lot of, and put drink into the mix and it becomes an even more of a cauldron. So yes, emotions tend to be running high at this moment in time, and even talking to our friends who are, there's no drink involved, you find that there's that bit of sort of tension going on. So if your emotions are running high, you need to expect that. You need to expect it.
And be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. Again,
Absolutely.
This is, I said in the last video, but it's real true. You can't get a book on Amazon about this because no one's done it before. You will in the future, but not right now. So there's no right or wrong way of doing this. I will say...
Dummy's book. The Dummy's Guide to Pandemics.
That'll be there next year. I will say that I used to say a lot, and I used to say in really high emotion, I can't go on. It was one of my strongest, I can't do this anymore, and it was a howl of despair. It often felt as if it was a determined decision, but looking back on it, actually it was just a very intense feeling. It's how you feel right in the middle of a crisis. Maybe your drink has just had a particularly bad night or a particularly bad couple of days. The good news is that it's an intense feeling, but wasn't an accurate description about how I did my life, because actually almost the letting off of the steam a bit, and it's as in my psyche then would just calm itself down and think, okay, now what do I need to do?
I mean, we've all said that from time to time in various, and what it really means isn't I can't, it's I don't want to. I don't want to go on with this. That's what it really is. Take it away. I'm done now, thank you very much. Take it away, I don't want to go on with it. But the thing is, you always find the reserves of strength.
You do. And don't hear that as a dismissal of that feeling. It is a wretched, horrible moment. And to be fair, you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know, there's no rule in the world that says in your relationship you didn't sign up for this. And so those feelings are very real. And it leads to, I think, one of the emotions we see most, which is powerlessness. It's a horrible thing, isn't it?
Before we go into that, when I started to get sober, I mean, I started to discover emotions, you know, and thought, where did that come from, you know, because my emotions had been flat. As soon as I found an emotion coming up, then, you know, I drank. And then I got rid of that emotion, and, you know, and just keep it down, keep it down, keep it down. And when I got sober, all these emotions started popping up all over the place, you know, and it was a bit scary, I have to say. And one of my ways of handling it was what I used to call howling at the moon, you know. And that's what it is. That's that feeling of I can't go on. It's that kind of howling at the moon, you know. It's just expressing the pain that you're feeling at that moment in time, expressing the anxiety, the anger, whatever it is, you know, and letting it out. So it partly about that. If you watch a pressure cooker and it's got this little thing on the top, this little valve, and you see the steam coming out, if that little valve wasn't there, you know, you'd be wiping it all off the ceiling. You know, because it would just explode. You know, that's what it's for. The I can't go on is part of that. You know, that valve is the pressure cooker. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So the powerlessness. Now we talk about empowerment. I think that we understand that the AA and the 12 steps and everything. This sense of not knowing what to do, and if you're not careful when you live with the drinker, you kind of start believing that powerless because you try strategies that don't work.
Well, I think much of the answers to these issues tend to focus on powerlessness.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of sense to that in some respects. You know, you didn't cause it, therefore you can't fix it. You know, that's an Al-Anon strategy, and there's a lot of wisdom in that because it takes away guilt from you.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, it's not really true. You know, and we want to talk about this at great length within the website. But it's finding out where your power lies and where it doesn't lie, you know. And one of the things, again, I used in the past was the Serenity Prayer, you know. And you can see it as a lovely prayer, or you can even see it as a bit of wisdom. Yeah. So, you know, I tended to use it as a mantra to help me. And it goes, God grant me the serenity or the peace to accept the things I cannot change. So, you know, things that I've got no power over, the courage to change the things I can. And what's probably the most important of them all,
definitely,
is the wisdom to know the difference. So knowing what you can change and what you can't change, you know, sort of saying, okay, well, I can't change that. I just need to get on with it. I can change these things, so I'll get on with these. Yeah. Because what we quite often do is sit worrying about the things that we can't do anything about and ignore the things that we can do something about.
And do apply the program. Again, if you've just come, or you know, you're wondering why you would bother to do that. Yeah. And that does a very clear sifting about where your power lies and where it doesn't. And if you come to this site, many of the things you will have tried won't be working, else you wouldn't need us and you wouldn't be trying to get help here. So clarifying, and do listen to us, because I spent flipping 30 years learning that, and you don't have to spend 30 years. You just take a 30-minute video. And you can find out everything that I painfully learned through it all. You know, so again, understand what you can't tackle and understand what you can. You know, so that's really,
because there are
really
things you can do, and there's things that have an effect. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They're not immediate, you know, but they have an effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the things that we try to do within this website is empower you. You know, it says it right on the front of the website, empowering you.
Yeah.
You know?
And please don't hear a put down of AA. John got sober through AA and did groups for years.
Yeah. AA saved my life. You know, there's no doubt about it. I'm not, and don't put it down. Yeah. I just don't agree with everything it says, but then that's okay. That's okay. There's a lot of stuff that I do agree with, and I think it's great. One of my great heroes was Bill Wilson, who wrote the big book of, you know, because I thought a great social architect, you know, and we owe an awful lot of, you know, we owe a real debt to Bill Wilson.
Yeah, and I used to completely read Melody Beattie on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we have been very informed and helped by it. So don't hear dishonour of that, because there's none of that in pride whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, when we're powerless, brings us to the next emotion. We feel angry. And anger is such an issue when you're living with a drinker, and quite rightly too. The things that you have to put up with would test the patience of a saint. So the first thing we would say is that anger is very valid.
Yes. You are justified in it, and you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends what you do with it. You know, that's the issue. It's not whether you should have it. You should. You know, if you're alive, you should probably have it. If you live with a drinker, you should probably be angry. But what you do with that anger is what really matters.
Yeah. If you're going to vent in places that won't make your situation work. Now, we say don't argue with a drunk, but you can maybe, if you have friends who know you, just get up and just say, just need to tell you how angry I feel. Get on the forum. Again, say what you're doing. Just say, I'm just expressing some anger here, so that people know what's going on. And we don't want it to be just a place where we just vilify drinkers all the time, because that isn't that can be quite toxic. But certainly, if you're having an awful day, week, month, tell us about it. Let people know, because everybody that you write to in the forum will know exactly what you're talking about and will really understand. So, but it'll absorb some of the intensity of that anger.
Again, it's like, you know, the little sort of valve, you know, you need to let some of it out. You need to vent it. You need to vent the anger to see what's actually underneath it.
And I have to say, as a mum, it may come out in your children. We do that by mistake. You know, we can't get angry with our drunk, but we might get really short-tempered with our children. Sit down if you do that. Again, you know, be kind to yourself, but sit down with your children and just say, I'm really sorry, I'm not cross with you, this is not your anger, so that they understand what's going on. However simplified you make it, just help them to know that they're getting a fallout, they're not really getting something that they're justified to. Although sometimes when they pick it up, they do start being angry, but themselves. So you know, we can't give simple answers here, because it is a really complex situation. What I would say though, anger is a brilliant fuel.
It is. You know, it's one. Believe it or not, it's one of the more positive emotions, because you feel empowered when you're angry. In a way that you don't when you're depressed. You know, you feel like, you know, there is a strength there. And if you apply that strength and that power, you know, you can actually get things done. Be
angry towards something, not against something. You know, you are angry with your drinker, but just railing about that will just take you around another circle. But if you get angry towards and say, right, I am going to do things that help. I am going to make sure everything I do is working. I'm going to make sure that we really work on this. I'm going to make sure I'm going to read the program, get any tips that are there, you know. So that anger then kind of, what's the impetus, gives you impetus. To bring about change. So catch the fuel of it. But do things that will take you onwards, not round in a circle.
I remember being really angry and, you know, really raging and going out and doing the garden. Wow, I got a lot of work done that day.
I used to clean the kitchen, actually.
Got so much work done. You know, and at the end of it, I felt so much better. So again, clean. My kitchen was very clean when my husband had binges. It's actually, you know, doing something is actually quite good with your emotions. I remember I was involved in AA a lot. I remember this guy came up to me and I'd been sponsoring him for a wee while, and he arrived at my door this day going, and he'd done it a few times, to be honest, you know, I'm feeling so bad, I'm going to kill myself today. And I'm going, all right, okay, here's a spade. If you go in there, you dig that plot over there, and then I went round the back and left him to it, and you know, and then you would come back, you go, have you done that bit? And at the end of it, I said, what was it you were wanting? He goes, I can't remember. And away he went. Because he had vented it, he got all the stuff out, you know, and he got the stuff out in my vegetable patch, and I had a nice garden, you know, which was the main thing, obviously, you know. No, he learned that, you know, he caught the moment. And that moment, he felt really bad, but he, instead of channeling it into his head, he channeled it into energy, and that helped.
And if you've got tips get on the forum, tell people. If you have a strategy, again, we're doing what we can, but we don't have all the strategies. If you've got a strategy that works, then tell people, because that would be really helpful.
Other things you can do is hit the gym, get on the running machine, get on the sort of rowing machine, do these sort of things, go for a run, go for a walk, again, if you get your natural endorphins up, it battles the anger. So do something physical.
Also, we'll say that with anxiety as well. Right, now we're coming to pain. And I feel so deeply when I'm saying this. It is such a painful experience living with someone who's got an addiction. It is really painful. And I can't come out with a sentence that's going to kind of help you with that pain, in as much as that it is a very deeply painful thing to watch someone you love disintegrate, to watch the trust between you be eroded, to watch your children and what it does to them. That pain is very, very real. And again, do come on the forum and talk about the pain, because there's some days, and it does go up and down a bit, where you just feel the pain is completely overwhelming. Just can I say that to recognize that isn't being deliberately inflicted by your drinker. If you're here trying to get help for your family and for your marriage, and that's why I stayed with my drinker for so long, that love is really, really present. And I learned, actually listening to you more than anything, that I didn't have the monopoly on hurt. Now, just explain what that...
No, you didn't have the monopoly on hurt. I mean, much of my drinking was about pain. It was about my anxiety. It was about my, how I felt about me. I hated myself, and I felt guilty, I felt ashamed, so I had my own pain, and when I drank, I got rid of that pain. And ironically, when I drank and I could see my partner, my wife's face, and I was hurting her, and that gave me even more pain, I mean, it might sound like a cop-out to say that, but that's the way I felt. Her pain was hurting me, and I was hurting, and and there was this cycle. And I've said it often, I never wanted to hurt anybody. I just didn't want to hurt. I didn't want to hurt myself, So pain was, alcohol was my anesthetic. It took away my pain, but unfortunately it hurt other people. But I was in so much pain myself that, I just kept taking my medicine. So that was it. So yes, I do appreciate you've got pain, but there's a lot of pain going around. You don't have all of it. The drinker very often has quite a lot of pain as well.
And again,
this is not
to minimise your pain,
not to minimise it in any way.
What we're trying to do here is that it feels so personal that it makes the pain even deeper. And so to say, it is awful watching this happen, but they are really going through it. And so you understand they're the one with the problem. They're not necessarily inflicting that on you. Unfortunately, you're just watching someone not dealing with their pain well. And to be able to separate that out will make the pain less personal, because it isn't personal,
No, it was never personal. It was never.
It feels personal.
Of course it feels personal. It feels intensely personal. And it's hard to see that it's not personal. But the thing is, unfortunately, and again, this might sound very personal, is you don't actually come into the equation. The equation is I hurt, that will stop the hurt.
And I had endless conversations. This is why I think it's good to look at the 4 Ps, that make sure you understand them. Because I really genuinely thought, if I could just explain to my husband who loved me just how deeply me and the kids were hurting, he would stop. Because in any other part of our relationship, if I said, I'm hurting, this pisses me off, he'd stop. So I kept presenting my hurt to him, just thinking perhaps I hadn't used the right words, but actually it just made him worse. It just made him more guilty and more ashamed, So we just got in this endless cycle. So it's better to take your hurt to people who can really support you and help you, rather than dump it at your drinker's feet and then just find you get much more of the same.
Yeah, but you know, as a drinker, I can only apologise. You know, I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry that I hurt anybody at all in my drinking. It was never my intention.
And find the video, because there is a video. Maybe that could be. Is it on the family side of things? An alcoholic.
Yeah. It's on the blog.
Yeah,
you know?
just look that up, because John spent some time just really owning and saying sorry, and it may help your heart if you listen to that, you know. And remember, he's an example of where your drinker can get. You know, somebody quipped, didn't they? Drunk to a doctor in a decade.
Yeah.
You know, so there's real hope, because we're here. We survived what we went through. We're now sharing it and helping other people, you know. Yeah. So this is a part of your life. It's not the destination. It's a station, if you like, that you're going through.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here as well as pain. You know, there's a lot of opportunity as well as trouble, you know. And if people can actually grasp hold of this program, then yes, there's a lot of opportunity.
And if I could, I mean, I talked in the last series about, last video, having a mountain of hugs. If I could, I'd love to just sit there with you, give you a hug and say, I know how you feel, because I really do. I really do. And my heart goes out to you, and you matter, and your pain matters very, very much.
Well, you can practice in me if you want.
Oh, do you want to practice? Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's it. So. Yeah. And I found happiness in a relationship, I have to say. Yeah. One of the greatest gifts I've ever been given.
Ironically, with an alcoholic.
Yes. Yeah, who just doesn't drink. So the story of our lives is going to be available, I think, and we'll talk a bit about that. Yeah, again, just to say, if you didn't listen to the other one, that a lot of people are looking for spirituality at this time. And I've done a little video I'm going to do just about what that meant to me. Again, respectfully saying you can listen to it if you want to, but of course you don't have to, because we want to be really accessible to people of all faiths and people of none. Yeah. So the last one then is anxiety.
Yeah.
Gosh, this is a terrible, crippling thing, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. You know, anxiety is, you know, worrying about what's going to happen. You know? Again, not to minimise your pain or your anxiety or your worries in any way whatsoever, but always sort of hang on to something Mark Twain said. Some people say it was Winston Churchill that said it. Some people say it was a French philosopher.
Michel de Montaigne, I think, is the person
Michel
who did
de
it
Montaigne.
first. Yes, a philosopher in the 16th century.
You know Michel. Yeah, good old Michel. Anyway, what he said is, my life's been full of worries, most of which didn't happen. You know, and I think there is a lot of truth in that. Alcoholics Anonymous put it in a different way. You know, live for today. You know, live for today. It's not their philosophy. Again, it's actually it came from the Catholic monks. You know, about living in the day. If we can live in today, then you know, tomorrow can take care of itself when we get there. And
there is, I mean, in the UK, people are losing their jobs, their livelihoods, their businesses and everything. The stresses and the anxieties that many of you are going through are very real. Having said that, there are also a lot of agencies that are stepping up to try and offer support and help. And you know, we got a thing from the county council the other day with a little list, and if you've got this, ring this, and you know, so people are trying to correlate the places you can go to get help. Our government, and it's a Tory government, so it's very, very unusual, have put unprecedented amount of money into supporting people that have lost their jobs and things, you know. So if ever there was a time when you're stressed, can I also say, if ever there was a time when people around know what's going on and are trying to help society through it, this is it. And whereas you might have lost your job this time last year and you'd just be a statistic, this year you've lost your job and there's people really aware of what's going on. So can I just say that as a beacon of hope in the middle of this, is that if you've lost your job, as many of you have, the emphasis on the world is on what's happening in a way that it never was 6 months, a year ago.
I have to say it's not true in every country, this.
No, this is not true.
It's certainly in the UK at the moment, it's definitely true. And I know a number of other countries are really putting, you know, a lot of money into helping people. But,
and I think it'll be on people's agendas as well.
I think it has to be.
If it's hot news, it'll be a motivation politically. I know it's an awful thing to say, but it is true.
But in terms of anxiety, you know, how do you actually handle anxiety? You know, okay, fair enough, a day at a time, but it's people can't just sort of forget about tomorrow. It's really difficult. You know, you have to sort of help your mind in some ways. You know, breathing exercises.
Yeah.
You know,
there's again online now. You can really look up these things. There's apps called things like Calm.
Yeah.
I haven't tried them, but it'll all be about helping you and your anxiety levels to go down.
It is. It's about bringing it down. You know, I sometimes that's what one of the things that they do. It's a very simple one. You know, the breathing exercise. You know, you take a deep breath, hold it, let it out. Deep. You know, because what you're doing is you're getting oxygen into your brain, you know, and that helps to calm it down. You know?
Exercise is known to
Exercise,
reduce anxiety
again,
levels.
Mentioned the natural endorphins, you know, get them up, you know, which is a sort of the opiates that you know, that the body actually creates itself, you know, and it's makes you feel good. Makes you feel good, you know.
Just nature, if you can. I know there's some of you can't, but even just a little bit of patch of green where you can just allow the beauty of the world around you. Even actually to go online, you know, you might not be able to get out, but you'll be able to find beautiful pictures, and even something like that. Again, the psyche's really clever, I think. You know, if it can't do something, often it will come up with solutions that are the alternative. A bit like Google, you know, you put in, in fact, we've got an Alexa now, which is great fun. And, you know, and if we ask her to do something, she's quite helpful, and she sometimes comes up with other ideas, doesn't she? But your psyche does that. Your psyche's a very clever bit of kit, really. Yeah.
But again, it's about, you know, doing some, you know, of course you're anxious at this moment in time, but it's what can you do about it? What can you do about it? You know, and if you take positive steps, it helps. And one of the things to do is try and do, if you feel yourself starting to get anxious, if you can find these, you know, like an app, Calm, or breathing exercises, or going walking, or whatever, do it early in the anxiety. You know, don't wait till it gets really, really bad. You know, do it early.
Simple strategy that I do with my clients is they have a book that they put on a shelf, and they open the book and they actually write all their worries down. Maybe have a time of a day when they allow themselves to do that. They shut the book, they put it back up on the shelf, and so they've actually, as it were, put their worries in a box for a minute and put the box away. And so again, what you're training your brain to do is, I do have anxieties, but I will have a time when I will address them, and there will be a time when I don't.
You allocate your worry.
Absolutely. And again,
put boundaries around it.
And you do build up neural pathways. Now we know with cognitive therapy and stuff that if you really decide to do something and you're putting a new neural pathway in, you know, if you decide you're going to do that and you stick to it, it does actually change. We know that it changes. There's always that bit of tension in the middle.
You're literally changing your mind.
Absolutely, changing your mind, and just stick with that bit in the middle that you have to go through. I mean, that happens when people give up drinking, isn't there? There's always a crash barrier.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of my favourite things as a stress reliever or an anxiety reliever is I stick my headphones on, put some nice music on, and go walkies. That's one of my favourite things. I find it so calming and relaxing. But we're very fortunate here, you know, the sea's just down the road, you know, and I can walk along the prom. You know, or I can walk in the other direction, go into the country, you know, depending on my mood. You know, and it's as I say, it just relieves it. It's a bit of me time, and putting the headphones on means that I'm sort of, you know, I'm not getting too much stimulus into my brain at that moment in time. And if the music's nice and soothing, then I find myself being soothed.
And know that it's the place you go to. I think having it there as a strategy that you use, again, gives you more power. Talk to friends, you know, unload to someone who loves you. John is here. Remember that he does private practice, and the good news is through this particular period he's actually giving it a lower amount if you are really going through it. So you can self-select which one of those you do. We always leave, you know, that to you. We give you the dignity of choice, and we believe that you will make good choices.
So you have power.
You
know, you can decide what you do with your emotions. You know, the feeling of the emotions, of course, you're feeling them at this time.
Yeah.
But you can do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And come and join me in the video that I'm going to do as well, and I'll kind of talk about that and some of the tips that I've learned having a faith. So, okay, I think that's it for the time being. We will undoubtedly be back.
Yeah.
And again, you know, don't be silent. Come join us, read the programme, come on the forum, be part of the community. You matter to us very, very much, and we're so glad you're here. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.